Hello, this is Craig, and this is mini Bible study series number 15 in the Sermon on the Mount. And we're looking at Matthew chapter 6, and we're going to be looking at verse 14 and 15. And in a nutshell, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus is teaching us how to be Christ-like. He's teaching us how to be Christ-like. And so that's why the Sermon on the Mount is so important. Now, there's only a couple of verses here, but it carries tremendous amount of weight. These are the very words of Jesus Christ. Matthew chapter 6, verse 14 and 15, Jesus says, "For if you forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will forgive you." That's great. But if you do not forgive men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Wow, that's pretty heavy stuff. What's a trespass? A trespass is basically someone's done you wrong. A trespass is maybe lying about you, maybe cheating you, treating you poorly, just not being fair with you, something that is offensive or something that is basically wrongs you in some way. And so Jesus says, this isn't me, I'm just repeating what Jesus says. He says, if you forgive men or people, if you forgive people their trespasses, their wrongs, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Sometimes this is a hard one because sometimes we as humans in our humanity, people wrong us. We want to get even. We want to even the score. But Jesus says, forgive them. He says, if you forgive them, your heavenly Father will forgive you. Now, I do need to say here, this is like the right cheek and the left cheek thing that Jesus says. I don't believe Jesus is instructing us in trying to tell us to become a doormat. He doesn't want us to be walked all over or abused or taken advantage of. That's not what Jesus is saying. He is saying, be Christ-like, be forgiving. And, someone offends us once and maybe it was a mistake. We forgive them. Everything's good. But we all know that sometimes there's situations that people just like to aggravate, like to create trouble, like to have give us problems. We just need to separate ourselves from them whenever possible. I realize sometimes that's not always possible, but we just need to separate ourselves and not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of. And that's a whole lesson of itself. But Jesus is saying we need to forgive. And we not only need to forgive because it's the right thing to do, but then Jesus says in verse 15, this is scary, quite frankly. But if you do not forgive people their trespasses, someone wrongs you, if you do not forgive them, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Sometimes I think a lot of people, especially Christians, they're having trouble. They can't seem to move forward. It's like they're plagued with difficulties and unanswered prayer. I would venture to say a lot of times it's because of unforgiveness. I know I've been there in times past, and it's been hard. But Jesus is saying, if you forgive, I'll forgive you. If you don't forgive, I can't forgive you because you're holding this against this person. This is a lot to take in, I know. But the bottom line, Jesus is saying to be Christ-like. If you want to be like Christ, we need to be forgiving. We need to be loving, kind. I don't want to forgive just because I need God to forgive me, but I want to forgive out of a pure heart. And sometimes this takes prayer. But I challenge you in this. Be forgiving. May the Lord bless you and be a blessing to someone this week.